A voice for those who want to be heard, but seem to always get overlooked, who are hiding in the shadows, but want to step into the light. Sounds that resonate with all frequencies, that need to be heard, but are often gone, overlooked. Divine Time is a podcast that covers everything to elevate those who are hiding in the shadows, to help those who want to be seen, who need to be heard, but feel that there's always something holding them back from getting their voice out. We've got comedy, we have insightfulness, we have the truth, and we know how important the truth is these days. Stay tuned for an episode of Divine Time. In this episode of Divine Time, I am accompanied by Walt and Don as we talk about our experiences in shadow work, the secrets of within, and how our eyes have been opened since we started looking inside ourselves rather than looking outward for answers. So relax your mind. It's Divine Time. So what's good? What's good? This is Danli Divine. I am here with... I'll let y'all introduce yourselves. I don't know what your aliases are. Okay, sorry. What's your name?
Don, special guest, long friend.
Walt, special guest. Yeah.
I thought the introduction would be longer, but all right, cool.
We keep it simple.
we
We keep it simple.
On this episode, so everybody, we're doing this on a live in the Divine Time Positivity group on Facebook. If you want to tap in, I said the name Divine Time Positivity. You can look us up. It's going to be joining hands of a lighter skinned character and a melanated individual holding hands. Divine Time Positivity. Bringing all the positivity, all the knowledge, everything that you need is going to be in one spot. Just like with the business we have in the family, everything you need is in the family. So with that, today's episode is going to be on shadow work and being able to ask for when you need help. And I feel like that's a big thing in the society that we live in these days. So starting off, I want to first hit off on shadow work. I've been working and doing shadow work for about, my sense of time is all messed up. I want to say about 2 months. It probably might be 3 now. I have a little journal that I write in when I do mine. I think that my biggest epiphany was on my birthday. So I'm gonna be straight up 100 with y'all. I had did 4 grams of shrooms and I had got faced with questions that I don't know who was asking me. What I mean by I don't know who was asking me was the fact that I had my voice, my alter ego's voice, and another voice I never heard before that was talking to me, and I was having a conversation with 3 voices in my head at one time. There was a point where my partner, my wife, came in and she was talking to me. Like, this is in real life. She came in and was talking to me. And the way that it was going was I'm trying to respond in my head to the conversations and at the same time trying to respond to her. So I felt like I was skipping in my responses, trying to talk to her while still trying to talk to the people, the voices in my head. But the scary part was they were asking questions that I couldn't answer about myself. One of the questions was, who are you? And I was like, yo, I'm going to go ahead and say it. And it was like, no, when you take all the titles away, when you take your military experience, when you take your war tactics and your veteran status away, when you take your credentials away, who are you? And I was like, shit, who the fuck am I? And I was like, damn. And that had me thinking. And I mean, and then he asked, and he was like,
what up, it's your boy Westside Jones. Be sure to check out my podcast, The Vibes of Westside, Tuesdays at 2 o'clock. Also, be sure to check out some of my music on all streaming platforms. Westside Jones is WESSYDEJONES. Get familiar. Yeah.
Where do you come from? I come from my mother's vagina. That's just how I am. I'm a smart ass. And it was like, no, where do you come from? Like, okay, when you were 5 years old, what were you doing? And I was like, nigga, I don't fucking know. And I was like, oh shit, I don't know. What was I doing when I was 5 years old? Can you think about what you were doing when you were 5 years old? Can you remember what you were doing when you were 5 years old? And I was like, yo, the fact that I can't remember what I was doing when I was 5 years old, but I'm over here like, you are in charge of your reality. You are in charge of your life, but I can't even remember what the hell I was doing in my life at these times. That really stuck with me. And it had me really messed up in the mind. And then that's when I started realizing, I was like, yo, I got a lot of mental blocks on myself, because I know I've had a lot of traumas and a lot of things that happened in my lifetime, to where there's times where I think about in my life where even my wife is just like, you don't remember a lot of your past. And I'm like, I really don't. And then it gets to the point where I'm like, okay, is my reality really my reality? Because of the fact that I can't remember a lot of the stuff of my own past. So can I really say that I am truly who I say that I am? Now, with that, I'm like, damn, what if my whole life to the point of where I am is fabricated based off of the things that I have chosen to forget and have blocked myself off of because I'm refusing to acknowledge the traumas of my own past? Going into shadow work. That was on my birthday. The things that I have, I guess you can say I have undug, discovered, have me realizing that I feel as if I've been living a lie through majority of my life in the military, especially since I realized that since I got out the military, I didn't know who the hell I was. And doing a lot of shadow work made me realize that I had lost myself during the damn near 8 years that I was serving in the military. I became what they wanted me to be and forgot exactly who my true self is. Now, for those who don't know what a true self is, that is that individual that you are born as before society and your parents and everybody else in the world tells you that, hey, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to be. This is how you need to react in certain situations and whoop-de-woo, yada, yada, yada. When you erase all of that, who are you truly? So I'm just going to ask real quick.
Yes,
Don.
Yes, sir.
With everything you've done in life, if you get rid of all that, can you say you're being your true, authentic individual?
In my moment now? Like
No, not in your moment now. Who you truly are.
Not at all. Not at all. Because much like how you said you've been doing it for the past like a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
How we talked before we got on air, right? I was like, oh,
we had a whole ass conversation.
I had to ask him like, what's shadow work? And I was like, self-reflection. You know what I mean? I've been at that for probably 2-3 years. Also journaling, which is extremely beneficial.
Yes.
For those who don't do it, I would strongly recommend picking it up. But I realized a while ago it's like not my true self, because you're just kind of bombarded with society and all the other things, bills and responsibilities that take you away from who you truly are.
Facts.
And like, granted, there's a good amount of it that's just fuckery. It's fuckery.
Galore.
You're choosing to indulge in that you can easily just not, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a certain level of responsibility where it's like, okay, this needs to get done, and how are we going to get it done? And sometimes you gotta, unfortunately, go down the way you don't want to. And I'm not saying, in a legal aspect or in like a moral aspect, just more of like, I don't think anyone wakes up every day wanting to go work a 9-to-5.
Yeah.
And even if they do, not in the area.
If they do, there's something clearly wrong with
you.
What
I mean, to an extent, because there's some people who genuinely love what they do, and I get that. You found your niche that it is your true self.
Yeah,
and that's good for you. Happy for you. But there's a majority that I don't think that Chick-fil-A worker really wants to be a Chick-fil-A worker. You know what I'm saying? Like,
welcome to Chick-fil-A. How can I help you?
You
want number 9? All right, cool. Pull up to the next order.
Like, it's not my pleasure at all. You know what I'm saying?
Facts,
right.
Right.
So it's like, but they're trying to get done what they got to get done. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just, like you asked me if I feel like I'm my true self. Not fully, because I'm still, as you know, I'm still slaving. You know what I mean? Either I enjoy this, I don't, but I got stuff I got to get done, and we're going to get it done. You know what I mean? Got goals we're going to reach, and when we reach them, we're going to get the next one. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
respect.
Do what you got to do, and then when you hit those struggles, that's what that journal's for. You know what I mean? So you don't lose your true self. Like, find your true self, and when you find it, don't lose it, even while you're doing things that aren't true to you. That you have to do.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because we can't just sit around and be a bum.
That is fact.
You could, but we ain't talking to them right now.
Right.
We're not talking to those guys right now.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean? We're not talking to those guys.
Yeah,
you know?
choice.
Yeah.
Definitely
Talking
choice.
to like-minded fellas who know. You know what I mean?
Right,
We gotta
that's
do what we gotta do.
Right.
You know.
Yes.
But to answer your question, that's like the best I can answer that question.
I mean, hey, you said it. You answered and said that no, you don't feel that you are your true self. I'm gonna hit something else after, but I'm gonna ask Mr. Walt real quick. Would you say that you feel that you are your true self, or at least close to it?
Man, I've been actively shadow working for the last 6 years.
God damn.
There we go.
And it's it's something you have to break through mentally. And 9 times out of 10, it's at your moments of greatest despair, when you feel like you should be at a specific place, or you need to be at a specific place to take care of the business you were talking about. So even though I've been doing it this long, I still find points to where I'm not fully invested in who I actually am. I'd like to piggyback on what you were saying about your conversation with yourself, because that actually happened to me as well. So from what I understand, when you go into this set, psilocybin mushrooms, what they do is they bring you face to face.
I mean, pull them out real quick. I got Jedi mind fucks right now in the background. I'm just saying.
It brings you face to face with those three things that we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
Protons, neutrons, and electrons. It's the 666.
666.
It's who you are.
We can talk about the 666 later on.
But anyway,
it's supposed to be Mark of the Beast, which is actually what man is made up.
Right.
But we can hit into that later. We ain't trying to destroy everybody's religion at the moment.
But anyway, at the end of the day, it's you facing yourself.
Yes.
And I had that conversation with myself, and I was knocked off guard too. I was like, okay, first of all, who is this talking? And when the answer was me, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and then I'm like, okay, if there's 3 of me, then
okay, so you got 3 too?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, okay, I'm familiar with me, I'm familiar with Shade. I was like, who the fuck are you?
Exactly. But that whole conversation was an ancient conversation. Was a conversation they wanted to have for the beginning of your knowledge. So if you begin to remember things at age 5, that's the conversation you were supposed to have. But you were supposed to be prompted by your family to have that conversation. And see, this is where we slip off. This is where African Americans or Black people slip off, because we're not cultivating our kids like we're supposed to. So, and my lesson from that was, I got 4 kids. I better start allowing them, telling them that they can have a conversation with themselves without someone saying that you are crazy, because you're not.
I was about to say, I was like, you know, it's wild, because like growing up, like it was always said, like my mom would always say, like, you can talk to yourself, but don't ever respond.
No, that's.
And I'm like,
but anyways, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's
hard
like,
because that was her conditioning. She was conditioned to feel the same exact way, and the label was in school. I mean, come on, let's be real. The school system that we went to was created by white America. They didn't want anything good for us at all. Period. The curriculum wasn't for us. It was for their folks. They didn't want us to advance at all. Period. And they were forced to put us in a place where we went to school with them.
Hey,
you see what I'm saying?
Don, you right. I'm gonna push this back.
Tell you, bro.
I never said you was wrong, bro. I never said you was wrong. I was like, shit.
Long story short, I'm not going to harp on that piece. But to answer your question, am I fully, completely there? No, I'm not fully, completely there. I'm still working on it, because again, my children are an extension of myself.
Okay.
So if they're failing, then I failed in some type of way, and I gotta make sure when I'm ready to check out of here that I'm represented correctly. That's my legacy. You see what I'm saying?
I like the fact that you said that, because I'm like, in the Marine Corps we have a thing called NCO Creed. In the NCO Creed it says that my Marines are a direct reflection of me.
Right.
So I mean, it's interesting, because I'm like, even in the military they're teaching you that once you reach a certain rank, then now it's like you're molding everybody else. So now it's like they're supposed to be looking up to you, and you're supposed to be leading by example. So I mean, that right there shows you that you are that father or parental figure.
That's it. Right?
to mold them into the direction that they're supposed to be going.
Right.
Now, granted, in the military, you're pretty much leading people to go die and fight
Right.
for people who are in a $10,000 suit that are way above you and who
Right,
don't really give a fuck about what the hell you're doing.
exactly.
But as long as you go ahead and kill people in a $5 riding on a fucking mule with a $5 fucking
We digress.
Yep, I catch myself.
Gotta
This is probably the main reason why a lot of veterans kill themselves, because they start realizing these things.
Right.
But I'm just gonna leave that right there where it is. Before I mess around, walk outside, and they're like, "Are you Riverdale?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No habla English." But yes, continue.
But anyways, like I said, it's I still got a lot of work to do. Like we were talking about earlier today, it's like this. Is there an order to how all this works? Because when you start,
Hold on, rewind on that one. We gotta touch that one from the base
There you
because
go.
we was getting deep on
Yeah,
that one.
definitely.
I remember I had said, I was like, "Yo, when it comes down to it, you don't." I feel that the way that the universe puts everything into that brings things out of you is everything is within you already.
right.
Because I mean, they've already proven that the DNA holds so much memory. Like now they have DNA freaking hard drives that
Right.
hold. I'm not gonna quote it
2 to
because
3
I don't know.
terabytes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's beyond terabytes. It's a step above that.
Right.
Like one drop can hold a couple freaking
There
terabytes.
you go.
And so therefore, if you end up putting a couple drops on there, they were talking about if they were to take a quantum computer or something like that,
Yeah, there you go.
beyond a mega
Yes.
computer, a quantum computer, and put it together. Now that the blood, the DNA hard drives would be able to actually provide enough power and memory to be able to actually teleport people, to be able to do stargates, to be able to do the frequency healings and all that stuff. And I'm just like, well, y'all are tapping into the Emerald Tablets right now.
Yeah.
You don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. But if you know, you know. What's good? But yes, I was like, boy. But what I was saying earlier to you is I was like, everything's already within us. It's a matter of how you end up decoding it. Because you may decode some things, but you don't know if it's when you're supposed to get it.
Right.
What I mean by that is you might get it, and then there was some things that you were supposed to get before that. So therefore, when you got what it is that you had just got, and then you try and apply it to your life at that moment, it's going to lead to some consequences. And I was actually talking to a lady who I call her my mentor. I met her I'm not sure if it was last year. No, it was this year. I met her a couple events ago, and she's a Hayako empath. And she told me I'm an Hayako empath, and I was like, oh wow, that makes sense. I get it now. After I looked it up, I was like, oh, I fit the description. Which is funny because I ended up reading the book Narcissists and Empaths due to a situation I had dealt with before that you may or may not be a little familiar with.
Right,
but with that, I was telling her today, and I was telling her about the discussion we had, and she was like, well, everything that happens, she was like, what you may consider, how I told you, I was like, what you may consider a consequence, she was like, everything is a blessing. She was like, so whether you had got it at that time and you saw it as a consequence later on in life, you'll see the blessing that it truly is. And if you had got that earlier or either later on, if you still had made a decision, you might have saw it as a bad thing, but it still was a blessing, or you might have saw it as a good thing, and later on down the line, you might have saw it as a consequence, but it still led you to where you needed to be. Yeah. So she was like, in all honesty, however you download it, however you get it, or however you comprehend it at the time that you get it, it doesn't matter exactly what order you get it, as long as you put the pieces together. I was like, that's it. But I'm sorry, I think I talked too much because I know you. I feel like you were about to hit something.
Exactly.
I feel like you were about to hit something. Please hit it.
So basically, like we were talking about earlier, hey, this is how do we know what's what, and how do we know where to begin and where to end? So the beginning, I'll just give an example. So when I started learning about the chakra meditations, I learned about the chakra meditations, then I meditated. So in my raw meditative form, without knowing what fingers to use, how to flip them up and down.
You know about mudras, right? They ain't gang signs. They're mudras, all right?
Exactly.
Oh, so I mean, you got some gang signs, but at the same time, you got some mudras.
Right.
So I mean, it's amazing how close they are. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
So here,
You got-
when base chakra
Get your
is
5-point crown. You can
yeah,
get your...
when,
Let me stop.
exactly. When your base chakra is being worked out, which is the root chakra, excuse me, is being worked. It's fingers and thumbs, hands
Mhm.
down. The reason why is because all that junk you got in your system needs to go back into the earth. That's why you're supposed to legs crossed,
Grounding.
your butt to the ground, and everything is being pulled out of you. No matter what your fears, all of that stuff is supposed to happen. So the beginning for me was okay. Meditation is good, and it felt good for the first time.
Yeah.
A lot of spiritual stuff happened. And I'm like, okay, this is good. So it made me jump into it more.
Yes.
So I think I was 26 when I started. So they say don't go over the amount of minutes of your age if you're starting off new. I jumped into a 3 hour.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I jumped into a 3 hour, and man, the 3 hour had me gone. And I was seeing things, but see, I started connecting with my ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
So my grandmother, my dad, my mom, and it's just slowly but surely they started this whole appearance for them started coming, and it was like at points they couldn't say anything to me at all. They were just like, "Hey, I'm just kind of glad you're here," and that was it. So the next stage was okay. If I could see them, why can't I have this conversation with them? So again, that was the beginning for me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that start was feeling good. I'm fresh. Okay, maybe I've hit a plateau. Now where do I go next from that? You see what I'm saying? So we are step one, find out who you are. And that's research based on you talking to people here on earth. Who is your grandmama? Who is your great-great-grandmother? Who's your great-great-grandfather? What did they do? Where are they from? And then the next bit of information I got was with regards to Akashic Records. And I was like, what is an Akashic record? So I started studying, trying to find out what Akashic record was. And then I was like, oh, man.
Yo, we got Scrunchy. She said perception is everything.
There you go. That's it. All day. All day. That's true. So from that point on, when I found out what an Akashic record was, and I thought about all my dead ancestors that lived, I was like, dang, every person that dies, whether they're put in the ground, whether they died drowning, whether they got shot and blood spilled on the ground, that is all a part of who I am. And whether if it was done in trauma, the trauma's being continually passed down. That's that right there. The trauma's completely being passed down. So that was another level of it for me. So I'm like, okay, I'm feeling real good. I've got to talk to my ancestors, and they were like, okay, so this is where my Christian self.
It's funny you say that, bro. Why are you doing this?
This is where my Christian self and the world and this part of my life split. They were like, build an altar, and I was like, an altar? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Altar?
Did you ever see the one I had in my own?
Yes, I did.
Okay, all right. That's all I was
So I was like, altar. And so my aunt, out of the blue, she sent me a Willie Lynch letter, and she sent me
the Willie Lynch letter.
Yes.
Okay. Oh wait. I heard. I just gave him the agnostics right here.
She gave me the agnostics, and she was like, "Call me." So
I want to pause real quick. You know what's funny? He didn't tell me about either of these. I found them myself.
Exactly.
Yeah, I found them myself. And then when I met him, I briefly said a few things. He was like, "Oh, you should really read this book." I was like, "Bro, I'm already ahead of you. I got that." And then and then I was talking to him about some stuff out of the Gnostic text. He was like, "Oh, you know about that?" I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, snap!" So we started talking more and more. I was like, "Yo, hold up!" And after that, it was just like blue.
Exactly.
So now it's like. My wife and her mom are just like, we can't have y'all together.
Exactly.
Because y'all just gonna be going off. Like, we're just gonna get our glass of wine and move to the other room. Why they're in the other room?
Exactly.
Oh, but yeah.
So my grand aunt, which she my grandmother's sister, she was like, look, when you read the first one, call me immediately afterwards because it's gonna completely blow your mind. So the Willie Lynch letter, the thing that the thing that
I'll send you the link to it.
Completely leveled me was when they split the image of the man. They tarred and feathered him to humiliate him.
Yep.
They tied him between horses and they made the horses run. So they split the image. Now this is a stage that was set because the women were there with the babies, and then you had other men in the crowd. So right after they split the image, the rest of the slave masters ran into the crowd and started beating the other men into submission. So
I want to pause real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with this?
Vaguely.
Okay, so going into slavery, the way that they really put into slavery is because they demasculine the head man. They would literally rape them and demasculine them in front of everybody. So that way nobody had anybody to look up to. Right. That's how they end up pushing Christianity. And when they pushed Christianity, they only gave us certain verses and books to actually go through. But at the same time, nobody really knew how to read. So it was like they only had so much information. Yes, they were being fed. Yes, exactly. So I mean, there's a book as well of how to control the Negro or something like that. What is it?
It's oh man, it's the Christian Black Codes of 1724. There's so many books, so many values, but Willie Lynch was like the leader in all that because they were having issues with maintaining control of their slaves. And I'm saying all this to say it bursted my bubble when it came to Christianity. Because all I saw, and years prior to that, I started asking questions about, hey, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. But I never had anything attached to it, and all I knew was Christianity. Yeah. And all I knew was what they were telling me that I should believe or what I should know. Mm-hmm. So we get to this point to where she's saying, again, this is at the helm of them saying, hey, create an altar. And I was like, man, an altar, that ain't Christian. It ain't what's supposed to be happening. Yeah. So when she called me and she told me all this, and I was like, why are you telling me, Aunt Chostine? It doesn't make any sense because I was talking to grandmother. I was talking to my dad and my great grandmother, and they were like, build an altar. She was like, an altar? She said, that is our original worship, our original practice. Because if we're looking at ourselves, the mirror image of our creation was our people. Period, point blank. We came down that bloodline. Period. So that was the next level, but it rattled me, literally. So I'm coming to a place now to where I pulled it out. I created this, and then the intersection between the Solomon, goodness, is a whole other story. But anyways, my belief with regards to the Testament of Solomon, if you read the book, the Bible, they mention him in the Proverbs, and they mention him as this graceful dude that slept with a whole bunch of women he wasn't supposed to, and he's banished. There's a whole nother volume with regards to Solomon. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And they called him names, and he was wicked and all the rest of the stuff, which I'm not going to go into a lot of details with that. But at the end of the day, that intersected with the world of Masonic or the world of Masons for me. Because
you can't go too deep in that.
I can't get into it, but it intersected with.
Unfortunately, I did research, which everything that he wants to say, you can actually find yourself. To be honest, with you.
There you go. But it intersected with that, and so I'm like, okay, this is what it is. So all these pieces are being put together, thrown together, and I'm completely rattled. I'm like, okay, I don't know whether to believe this. If I start believing doing this, what if I'm wrong? I'm gonna get struck down with a bolt of lightning.
Are we able to say this, Soul of Man?
There you go. That's it. That's all we can do is say is Soul of Man. That's it. Right. That's good for right now. But anyways, like I said, all this traces.
If you know, you know.
Exactly.
I'll leave you to look that up.
All this traces back to.
I say that, and then the mother calls me.
Okay. Is that her?
Yeah, that was her.
All this intersects with coming to a place where I declared I wanted things to be.
I'll be right back.
For my own personal life, you know what I'm saying? So beginning to change.
Boss, hold that. Go ahead, we'll be right back. What up? It's your boy Danli Divine. If you like what you heard, please like, follow, subscribe, and tell anybody else about it. All I'm trying to do is just pass words of positivity, affirmations, short stories, and check out the new website I have called divinetime.blog. If you have any stories that you want to share, but you feel that you can't share them yourself, go ahead and hit me up with an email at Danli@divinetime.blog. That's DANLI, the @ symbol, divinetime.blog. And I'll be more than happy to share your story in my own voice, so that way you stay anonymous. Again, hit me up anywhere and share this as well. And also,
At the end of every month, I plan to start doing a raffle. I'm going to see how this goes. I'll keep you tuned in to let you know how that's going to go about.